Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2007 Lexus GS 350. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6 and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Lexus GS 350 for a couple of reasons. This is the third generation, so I'm filling in more gaps in my GS lineage, as well as I recently drove a 2007 Toyota Avalon. So we'll be talking about that vehicle as well. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, if you'd like to buy stickers. I have a retro sticker pack available, as well as you can submit your own vehicle through my quick and easy submission form, or you could look at my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it's released here on the channel. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6 under the hood, making about 303-ish horsepower. It's nothing too crazy, but these motors are pretty stout. Toyota put them in pretty much everything. The Avalon I just got out of had one of these. The Camry could be optioned with one of these. The Tacoma came with one of these. The Sienna came with one of these. It's a pretty used engine across Toyota's lineup, and so they are pretty reliable. Like I said, paired to its 6-speed automatic transmission, nothing really too crazy here. We'll talk about how to shift it in a second. But later V8 models of the GS did come with an 8-speed automatic, if that's something you'd like. Or you could also even find the hybrid version of this car came with an electronic CVT, which is kind of interesting as well. And yes, I forgot to mention that with the engine, you could find this in a hybrid or a V8. They had the GS 430, which came, of course, with the 4.3 liter 3UZ V8. Last but not least, very interestingly, this GS is all-wheel drive, which is a very nice feature, something I love having, especially here in the Chicagoland area. We get tons of snow each year. That all-wheel drive really helps out. With that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have three main gauges. On the left is my tachometer, in the center is my speedometer, and on the right, I have my fuel, gear select, and coolant temperature. The interesting thing about these gauges is that they look like they are brushed aluminum. They have this really interesting backing to them. Now, of course, they light up white, or at least the digits light up white, but the overall look of the gauges is really, really refined. It looks like this sort of brushed laser cut aluminum, and I like that look. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my volume controls, skip track, and mode, and on the right I have my phone options and display. Because there is a little screen in the gauge cluster, it gives me information. I can switch that with the display button, and of course cruise control is down at the bottom right. Now off to the left, I have labels for headlight washers, power mirrors, gas cap, and trunk, but those don't actually do anything. What you have to do is open up this little panel, and just like the 1990s Toyota Crowns and Nissan Cedrics of yesteryear, this panel actually folds down, and then you get a whole slew of buttons here. I have my power mirrors, my headlight washers, my rear sunshade, power folding mirrors, parking beepers, odometer, gauge dimmer switches, trunk release, fuel cap release, and all of the bells and whistles right there. I really, really like this panel because it does have this sort of James Bond feeling to me, which I love, of course. However, what was kind of annoying is that the odometer buttons are in here, so now you just have added steps if you want to get your odometer reading, but not the end of the world. Moving on to the door, I have 3 different levels of memory seats. I have my power windows, of course, with the power locks and child locks up on top. Toyota is very famous for doing this all auto text down at the bottom to let you know that all the windows are auto. I think it looks really cheap here in the Lexus. I wish that they didn't do it and just sort of understood that once you figure out that they're auto, you'll probably remember that. Moving into the center, I have 2 climate control vents, and then I have the infotainment system surrounded by these different buttons. Very interesting configuration here. It is a touchscreen infotainment system, and it does have working navigation, which is very, very nice. A very cool feature here in the GS. But on the outsides, you get these interesting buttons. It almost reminds me of like older Audi products. I'm not sure why. But you have climate, audio, info, display, map and voice, destination and menu, and then you have your climate controls sort of built into the bottom half of the screen, which they are physical climate control buttons. I love that. You guys know I love having physical climate controls. But it's just all very weird that it's all together like this. And of course, you have temperature and passenger temperature, so you do get dual zone climate. And at the very bottom, you'll find a CD player and cassette player, as well as skip track and channel, tune, things like that found down below. Then I do have an openable ashtray and cigarette lighter. Absolutely love that. And then we move on to the center console itself. Shifter is off to the left. This is a very traditional Toyota shifter. I call this the jigsaw shifter, and Toyota and Lexus has used this for a long time. It works, and that's all I can ask for. Off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the GS 350. And unfortunately, unlike its Toyota counterparts, it seems to fail. Maybe Lexus didn't want their owners carrying around these big ugly bottles in their nice luxury cars. Not quite sure the reason, but unfortunately the GS 350 fails the big friggin' bottle test. But we're not done with the interior after that. We do have heated and ventilated seats. You have to sort of slide the armrest back a little bit in order to see these buttons, but you do have driver and passenger heated and ventilated seats. You also have a couple different transmission modes for power and snow. So basically sport mode and snow mode, or as I just accidentally said, snort mode. Shouldn't be saying that in a white car. And then I have traction control off to the far right as well. Then, of course, we do have that opening center console, plenty of space back here. Not quite large enough to fit a rotisserie chicken, but we're getting close. And moving on to the seats, like I said, they are power, they are heated, they are ventilated, they are memory. Pretty much everything you would want from a luxury seat in this segment you can get here. And I think that they are really comfortable. For 160,000 miles, I think they've held up pretty well. And it's to be expected out of a Lexus. With that being said, let's hop in the back seat and do a quick back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2007 Lexus GS 350 all-wheel drive. A couple of things to note back here. First of all, knee room is okay. This is my driving position, and my knees have a little bit of space, but not as much as I'd really love. But then again, that's what the LS platform was for. The LS platform has a way better, nicer back seat than this, and so that's okay. I do have a speaker on the door, auto windows, and I have nice LED lights up here, which is very fantastic. I also get this center console with pop-out cup holders, very nice. And then also I have an ashtray down here. And if you'd like, there is a pass-through you can open into the trunk area. On German cars, this is called like a ski door, where you can actually fit your skis all the way through if you want to go on a ski trip. I don't know what Lexus calls it. I don't know what the Japanese call it. But the seats themselves are very comfortable. They're very plush, and obviously on a car with 160,000 miles, they're a lot less broken in than the front seats, so they still retain a lot of that nice comfortability that you would expect from a luxury car. Let's go take a quick look at the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back with the trunk of the GS, and a couple of things to note back here. First of all, I do have a press and hold button on the key fob, so just like that, it opens right up. Now, decent amount of space back here. However, with the all-wheel drive, or I don't know if that's the specific reason, but it does have these pretty big hips, so it gets kind of narrow as it goes in. However, something cool is that down here, you actually get a Lexus toolkit, just like a BMW of yesteryear. So most of the stuff has retained its place here over the last 160,000 miles. Something there is missing, not quite sure what that would be, but nice that you get this nice toolkit in the back of the GS 350. And once we close this, I don't know if you saw that, it did have a slight soft close, which is very nice. Now we got to talk about the looks, and this is finished in Glacier Mica. There were a couple different whites offered in 2007 from Lexus, but this one, depending on how you look at it, it almost has like a hint of purple, maybe a hint of blue. It's very interesting, and I love it way more than just your average white color, your pearl white color. It has a sort of third dynamic to it, which I really like. I do also want to take a quick second to talk about the headlights. They are auto leveling, which is a very nice feature for 2007. However, it's going to get pretty pricey if you want to replace one of these headlights. They can go between $600 to $1,000 for new headlights because they have those auto leveling mechanisms in them. So if you see a for sale ad and it says just need headlights, just know that that might mean a couple $1,000s. Now, do they fail often? Not really, but just so you're aware. One thing I want to mention, the owner sent me this video, is that it does have welcome lights as well as keyless entry, so you could just grab the door handle and open. And at night, when you walk up to the vehicle with the key in your pocket, when it senses the key, it'll actually turn on these little welcome lights. But now let's get to my final thoughts here on the GS 350 from 2007. Well, I have to brag about myself here for a second because I have driven a handful of Lexus and Toyota products in the last month. I did the ES, I did 2 Avalons, and even in the past, I've done a bunch of other vehicles from this era. Of 2 Lexus LS 430s come to mind. Like I said, I did the newer 2014 GS, the next generation after this. And if you go to those videos, you'll notice that they all have some type of iteration of the same title. And so I'm starting to sound like a broken record, albeit a good broken record. The fact that these 2000s Toyotas and Lexus products in the luxury segment or large sedan segment are fantastic buys. The owner, William, bought this car for not that expensive, and it is a fantastic buy. Look at all the features in here. It has ventilated seats, it has a touchscreen navigation, has a sunroof, has all-wheel drive, has 300 horsepower. The only real complaint I have about the GS 350 is that by my right ankle, there seems to be this hump. I assume this is for like the front differential or something mechanically. There's a hump by my right foot. And so when I rest my leg awkwardly while leaving my foot on the gas, it hits this bump. Not the end of the world, just an observation that I had. That's really the only issue I can find with a vehicle like this. They're reliable, they're luxurious, and they can be found for good prices. And if you are into the Lexus badge, this is great. And so, I don't know what I'm going to name this video. It's going to be some iteration of this being a fantastic used car purchase, one of the best, if not the best. And so, for this one instance, I guess sounding like a broken record isn't the worst thing in the world. To some, it might even be the best. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to William for letting me take out his GS 350. I'm always excited to get behind the wheel of another Lexus or Toyota product, and they just keep blowing me away. And that is a huge thanks to William. He's an awesome supporter of the channel. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm sure I'll be filming many more of his cars for years to come. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.